minute, we'll go ahead and get started. How's everybody doing this morning? Just so y'all know, for the people that are joining, all 31 of you beautiful women and gentlemen, if you're here to, learn a little something, we're going to be doing open questions throughout this panel. So please, please, please be dropping your questions. We're going to be reading them. Just so you're aware, this panel is all about lady creatives in business, what it takes to be successful in the arts and entertainment field, what it used to be like, what it's like today, and how it's changing for the better in the future. So we have some really great ladies that are going to be speaking to you today about their stories, their personal paradigms when it comes to this industry. And we're really excited to kind of introduce you. So how about we go ahead and just roll right into it. Leah, do you want to get started by introducing yourself?
Sure. My name is Leah Frazier, and I am the CEO of Think Media. We are a creative marketing and communications agency here in Dallas, with clients that are pretty much all over the U.S. at this point. Started my career as an attorney, and then transitioned into the fashion industry, doing personal styling and shopping and producing fashion shows, and also in fashion journalism. And then took another turn and started my marketing agency once I realized that there was a lot of startups and businesses that didn't truly know social media, PR, and all the things that I could have learned along my decade-long journey after I decided to leave the practice of law. So here I am with you guys today, and I'm excited to be here. So thank you so much, Jules, for having me.
Yeah, perfect. Just quick thing. Somebody said that your audio is a bit muffled, so I don't know if it's sitting on something, but
no, I'm on an iMac, and I don't.
You sound good. Yeah, you sound good to me. I'm sorry, but Blake, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Blake Stevenson. I am the Texas president and group publisher for Modern Luxury. So I oversee the Texas region, and I've been with Modern Luxury about 10 years. Before that, I was with D Magazine for 13 years. Before that, Tracy Locke Advertising for 5. So I've been in the industry a long, long time, and I absolutely love my job. And we're in 28 markets across the U.S. So that's probably one of the most exciting things about the job, is that we get to kind of bounce ideas off of each other based upon the regions and collaborate and come up with big ideas for people and generating business for them.
Very cool. So my name is Jules Clark. I am the founder and CEO of How to Be Social. I started my journey actually in PR and journalism and moved into the digital marketing world. What I like to say is I started with community first. And so I started with a group of creatives, just trying to teach and train them how to be good at business. And that has grown from a small blog all the way to the company that it is today. So now we help people with content marketing and creating content that's really going to bring their brands to the next level. So that's a little bit about our panelists today. We also have Chris David, who's going to be hopefully showing up here soon. But with that being said, so excited to have these ladies here today, to have them talk about their stories, and just specifically about what it's been like to be a female. And so, Leah, I feel like we're just going to go back and forth here. But if anybody, around 1:25, we're going to have Q&A from the audience. So we're going to be letting people, show up into video chat and ask questions for these ladies. So prepare your questions based on stories or personal instances you might be going through. So with that being said, Leah, I'd love to hear about, your paradigm growing up as a female in this field. What has been your storyline being a female in arts and entertainment? And you've been through a lot of different industries. You've been through the marketing side, you've been through the fashion side, and you've been in law, which I know is an arts and entertainment, but I feel like has a lot of application now.
I think it's been, I was attending a bunch of panels yesterday, and I think one of the interesting things that was brought up was about how as females, often we don't, assert ourselves enough, or we overanalyze the situation. And so I found myself doing that a lot, creating my creative company, where I was confident, but I thought I needed to have all of my I's dotted and T's crossed and everything else along the road. And then when I came across my male counterparts, it was finding out that they were pretty much just throwing anything at the wall and it would stick, and they were getting a lot further along because they, just, I don't know, I guess they had another set of I wouldn't necessarily say confidence, but as women, I think we tend to overdo it a little bit, when really it's just the baseline and the simplicity of our business and our creativity that is needed. And so I feel like that's kind of been a theme across my journey in building my business. And now I'm just going to shout out Craig Lewis from Gig Wage. He was the one that kind of sat me down and was just like, look, you have all the tools you need to succeed, and all it takes is for you to just push it out there, Leah. You don't have to have a million things on a sheet to prove up who it is, who you are, and what you do. Because he's like, if a man walked in that room and did it, he'd probably have 1/20th of what you have on that sheet, but he's confident enough to know that can stick. And so I was in a bunch of panels yesterday where that was like a resonant theme, especially amongst women, where we have the confidence. I don't want to say we don't have the confidence. We do. We're just highly analytical in situations where maybe it just doesn't take that much, that our idea is creative enough and enough to stick. And we need to own that and push forward.
Well, and I love that. And I think that it's so important to say that, it starts with the confidence factor of, women feel like they need to have a long list of awards or a rap sheet to prove what they can do. But, those females that are just getting started in the industry, they don't have any of that. So it's really important to come to the table with that confidence. And, that's one of the things I've always admired about you, Leah, is that, you do have a long rap sheet, but at the same time, the attitude that you bring into a room with you is just like, no one can tell me that I can't do anything. And that's the one thing I've always respected most about you. So you're doing well.
Thanks. And I think too, as creatives, you have to understand that I really feel like we're very unique unicorns. And I say this all the time, like we are the key that can unlock so many, we have the solution to so many problems because our brain just thinks just on a whole nother level, right? And so even right now during the pandemic, when so many businesses, especially in the hospitality industry and other industries that are having issues, it's that creative mindset that can come in and say, have you thought about trying this? Or have you thought about collaborating this with a local artist to help push your platform? Like my friend Hans with By Way of Dallas, shameless plug, I'm wearing his jacket. The way he collaborated with a local artist and combined that with fashion in order to not only boost up the city of Dallas, but to put money in their pockets during the pandemic, but also use his platform to then elevate what they were doing in their artistry. To me, that's genius. And we can create those type of things overnight. We just have to lean into it and just do it.
Yes, most definitely. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Blake, why don't you tell us about, your experience being a female? You're on the magazine and publishing side and advertising. So curious how, that journey has looked like for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Gosh, there are so many superpowers I feel that we have. And one in particular, I think, is sympathy. I think that, we just by nature listen a lot more to what people's needs are, and we can benefit from that, or at least I feel like we have professionally. So that's been a big part of our success, or my success in this company, and especially now, where you really, look, I'm on the publishing side, so we're pitching advertising, we're pitching big ideas, big small ideas, and it can be a little intimidating in this climate. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is we're here to help. And, we will deliver. And it may not even necessarily be through the magazine. And I think that's what's been most enlightening during this time, is seeing so many people. I feel like the word pivot has been overused so many times, but at the same time, I've gotten where I hate that word, but we're more malleable to what people's needs are. And I think that's helped. So
yeah, no, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And, speaking from my personal experience, I feel like I'm a little bit younger, and me and Blake were kind of talking about this before the panel started. Everybody has their own different paradigm when it comes to just life in general, but especially as females. For me, I got out of college, I worked one marketing agency job, and then I went straight entrepreneur because That's just my brain doesn't want to work for anybody else. But for me, I feel like I haven't faced as much bias or prejudice when it comes to being a female in this industry because of two reasons. One, my personality is very like out there. It's loud. You're not going to miss me if I walk in a room. And two, I'm usually the tallest person in a room. I stand at like 5'11" and some change. And so I feel like when I talk to men or I talk to a business dealing or something like that, they might just feel a little bit intimidated right off the bat. And I feel like that's what men a lot of the time bring to the table, that you need to impress them or that you need to get up to their level, when in reality, all of us, it doesn't matter if you're male, female, whatever, we're all on the same level. It's, what are you to the table? What are your ideals? What are your morals, your values? At least that's kind of what my experience has been. And it's always attracted to the right kind of people to me. And it's helped me kind of build my name in the industry as a young creative and a young entrepreneur and founder. And I think it's really important to remember that it doesn't matter what your story is, it's how you act and the people you attract. But yeah, so going a little bit more into y'all's stories, maybe I'd like to ask about a time where you felt like you didn't get the client or you didn't get the job because of your male counterpart. Have y'all ever experienced anything like that?
I honestly have not had many male counterparts.
Oh, well, that's good. Just always the best woman for the job.
Yeah, no. But I've definitely been told no by men, you know, and I even remember at D Magazine, it was, I took the rejection so poorly, it was just like, oh my gosh, this like really hurts. I don't know if I can do this job. I don't know if I can do sales. And probably one of the best pieces of advice that I got was to just go out there and kind of like what you were saying, Lee. I mean, just like throw caution to the wind and just see, just put yourself out there and be told no, be rejected like 10 times in a row, and then come back and we can talk about a job.
Most definitely.
So it toughens your skin, and that's what we need. That's what we need.
Yeah. No, and I was actually walked in this morning. The first thing I was doing this morning was sending out Instagram leads. Hey, love your business, personal one-liner, really trying to talk to people. But I've realized that it's more of a numbers game than anything, because it's all about timing at the end of the day. If you are sound and my intentions are good, I know I offer a good product, I know I offer a good service, it doesn't matter what you say to people. Obviously be nice and kind and actually enjoy the product, but like, it doesn't matter, how you say or what you say. It just matters that you try and that you keep trying, because at the end of the day, not everybody is going to need you right now, but they might eventually need you. And if you come across in a way that's impressive and kind and professional, then it'll pay off. You just have to keep hustling. You have to keep getting the rejections in order to get the wins. So, Leah, I'm curious, what is the time either a man has told you no, and how did you handle the rejection? Or were you passed over for a client or a job because of your male counterpart?
I can remember in particular that there was, I won't mention any names, but there was a particular point in time where I was approached to do a collaborative session with a male who owned like a really top advertising agency. And so we were supposed to be presenting on social media. And I remember going into the meeting, and the men at the boardroom table were specifically talking over me, not allowing me to put input into how we were going to present to this large group of entrepreneurs. I think there was probably going to be like 200 people there, and they just pretty much kept ignoring me and was like, okay, this is your section. And they just had sidebar conversations, and it was fairly obvious that I know I look younger than I do, and I have an extra added layer, I'm Black. And so when you add that and being a female on top of that, and often being one of the only ones in the room all the time, I've already, over the course of my life, have built up this armor. And so my mindset is I don't really get pissed. I think it's fun. I'm like, all right. And I'm an athlete. So it's like, it's time to show up.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to come, and I'm a perfectionist, but I'm going to come with everything, and I'm going to show you up. And so when we got to the event, they said, oh, well, you go first. Well, in the meeting, they were supposed to go first, right? So here I am, this small little agency, and they're like, no, you go up there and you go first. And I knew in their head that they thought I was going to go up there and fail. And I went up there and I knocked it out, and I got off the stage, and the guy who was pretty much ignoring me and thinking he was top dog had like his journal and was like, I just want you to know that I sat in back there and I have pages of notes, Leah, like pages upon pages of notes. And that was incredible. Now, I'm not the type, like when you show me who you are, I believe it. So I was respectful. It was just,
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Good luck up there. Woo-woo, I'll be in the back enjoying your presentation. But it was like, it shouldn't have even have taken all of that. You should have respected me the moment I was at the table. I'm at the table for a reason. But I knew that there were several factors where they automatically came with their biases and just thought that I wasn't qualified for the job. But to this day, I'm like, if I had my braids in, I would flip them. But like, I don't think
I think it's so important. And you both talked about this. And so I want to ask one more question before we start getting into the side questions. And just for everybody that is currently on here, I know it's early in the morning and maybe, if you are dressed up, we'd love to have you on video, basically is what I'm trying to say. But if you're in your PJs, we'll still get you. We love all of it. We love it all. So we're about to move into those live questions. So kind of prepare and get ready for that. These two women have tons of experience that you can draw from and wisdom to draw from. My question is, y'all both talked about dealing with rejection, even when you get a seat at the table. In your experience, what is the best way to deal with that rejection? When you get told no, how do you overcome it and just keep moving on?
For me, so it would be somebody on the business side that turned down an idea of mine. And look, that's something you can never take personal. Everything's about timing. Typically when someone's saying no to you, they're saying no for you. So I embrace it. And I think the way you handle it says everything. Mm-hmm. And that will lead you to your next deal with them. So typically I'll just say, I understand. I'll ask a lot of questions though, too.
That's good.
Like why not? So it's a key learning opportunity. And then we'll take a pause and then I'll typically ask, when can I follow up?
Yeah.
So,
and I think that follow-up question is so important because, and I'll get to the Instagram leads question in a minute, but one of the things that we get back a lot of the times is, hey, we'll send this over to our team and they'll let you know, if they want it or whatever. But usually what I say as a follow-up is, hey, totally fine. Just so I'm not following up in your DMs and bogging you down, can I get the email for that marketing person? Because you need an opportunity to follow up and you need the ability to keep top of mind, because if you're not keeping top of mind, they've already forgotten about you. Mm-hmm. And I know it might be a little bit different since you're in the workplace pitching, but yeah, just making sure that you don't kind of go into yourself and you just stand your ground, I think is a really important thing.
Don't be afraid to ask contact information.
Mm-hmm. So. Exactly. Leah, what about you?
As far as rejection?
Yes. And how do you deal with rejection?
It's just part of the game. I think there's a certain level of confidence that you have to have. Now, I'm not going to sit on here and claim that I've always been confident. I haven't. But what I do is I'm a big believer in several things. The first being I journal. I journal consistently. I journal my wins so that when those rejections come through, I have something to reference back that lets me know you're on the right track. That person or that connection or whatever you were going for is not for you. But look at all of these times that you've won or where you've had wins. And so making sure that I'm consistent with that helps to keep me balanced. Number two, I always just believe that what's for me is for me. And so if I get a rejection in my mind, it's just that opportunity or that person or that lead was not for me. However, I am very confident in this idea, in this business or whatever I have going on, that I'm just going to repitch because naturally the universe or whatever you believe in is going to send me or I'm going to attract the person that's supposed to be a part of whatever it is. So I don't take rejections personally. It actually, like I said, it kicks me back into that competitive basketball mode where I'm like, you're going to circle back just all this and tell me I was the best thing or I was your biggest regret. And I'm going to make you watch why you should have been a part of this. So it taps into another part of me. Like, I don't really get too down. I'm more of like, I'm going to show you.
When I was so I played college basketball as well, as where I relate with Leah. For me, I remember loving Muhammad Ali and him always saying, I'll show you how great I am. I like painted that in high school. I put it up on my wall because here's the thing. I was tall, but I had no jump and I was not fast. And so I always had to work 10 times harder than all the people that actually had talent. I had talent. I just wasn't like,
you had to.
Yeah.
College basketball.
I wasn't like that, but my claim to fame is that I just worked harder than everybody else. I was up at the gym at 5 a.m. I was the person that was just pushing herself all the time where everybody else would take a break. I'd be like, let's go shoot 10 more. And that was for me, where I learned to have mental toughness. And I think that, we've kind of danced around that topic. It is having that mental toughness to just keep pushing, to know that one failure or one rejection doesn't define you. And I think that that's really important to always keep in mind, especially as a female. Anybody, that's a good lesson for, but as a female, you're going to get it more often. You're going to have to deal with, the bias and prejudice that is in the industry. But we have a really good question. It said,
well, real quick, I want to say, somebody said on here, they said, journal your successes.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that for me, I'm much better about journaling my manifestations. I'm always like, I am grateful for I'm grateful for this. So there was somebody that asked about the glass ceiling. Sorry, there's a lot of things going. Okay. So it says, how have you handled the glass ceiling problem a lot of people experience? I'm not going to lie. I'm not 100% sure what the glass ceiling is. Do y'all want to chime in here?
I mean, I think it's where you can't get past a certain level within an organization. And at Modern Luxury, I feel very blessed because look, coming into it before 10 years ago, I was warned. I was just, and not about the people that work or the people that own Modern Luxury, but that it's all men and they're in the radio business.
Yeah.
And so you kind of build this image in your mind of, gosh, I don't know, if I'm going to be taken seriously, I guess, in that space. But nothing is further than the truth.
Oh, wow.
The owners of Modern Luxury, they continually bring you up and motivate you and elevate you and promote you and let you come up with ideas on your own and see them through. So that's been a wonderful surprise.
That's awesome.
So really, I haven't seen that at Modern Luxury, a glass ceiling.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important to remember too, if you are experiencing that problem, it's probably not in alignment. I'm a big believer in like whatever is divinely meant to be yours will be given to you. And if you feel like you're banging your head against the wall at whatever workspace that you're in, it's probably just not meant for you. And you should probably take that as a sign, like maybe I should be trying something else, or maybe I should look somewhere else, because I promise you that there are going to be people that are, for lack of a better term, your tribe, that just click with you. They understand you. They want to help you be successful. And if you're in a place where you just feel like every day is a battle, I would highly, highly suggest that you start looking at maybe other communities or places to plug into. But what about you, Leah? Your situation is a little bit different. You're on your own boss. So what do you feel like your glass ceiling is sometimes?
I'm just gonna speak generically. I think that, and just given the situation, I'm just gonna kind of go through, like, I'm thinking of like Black Lives Matter. I don't know why that's coming up in my head, but like when you think of things that are built in systemically, sometimes I'm just going to play devil's advocate. Maybe that position is for you. However, you've got to build allies, or you've got to come together to break those down to overcome the glass ceiling, So like, I'm just thinking in my situations where like maybe I am the only one at the table, and I have, or I'm in those situations where I'm the only one at the table and I'm feeling like I'm bumping my head like that. It's important for me to have a Craig Lewis, or to have mentors, or to have people who can sponsor me when I'm not in the room that can help move me up the ladder, because systemically those positions were built for them. And so my recommendation would be that sometimes overcoming these glass ceilings is having mentors, right? So Marian Marshall is in the comments right now going ham. Marian was one of the first people that when I got into the fashion industry that was showing me the ropes, telling me, do this.
Wow.
Why don't you start your own magazine? Why are you writing for all these other people? You know what I mean? So she was the one that was constantly showing me to climb. And then when I started my own business, it was the men in the room that were showing me, that were sponsoring me, showing me, this is how men think, Leah. This is how you're overthinking things. So having a Craig to tell me, this is how we would do it. So just do it this way. And then that opened the door for me to move higher up the chain as a CEO. So I think it's a little bit more than that. I think there is no ceiling. You just got to strategically figure out how to move to get to where you want to be. So people are like, I have a guy here in Dallas that's like, no matter what's going on, I promise you Leah has a hand in it. But nobody can see my hand because I'm strategically making moves. I'm like, oh, this is the organization that has systemically made these changes in this industry in Dallas. I'm going to work my way in. So what is Leah doing? I'm going to every networking event. I'm tirelessly trying to figure out who makes the decisions. And then all of a sudden, oh, I'm in leadership. I'm on the board. And I'm bringing everybody else along with me. So it's a little bit more strategic about our moves, having those allies that can help sponsor you, that know what you're doing in the industry to speak for you when you're not in the room. And then having those mentors who can guide you to say, you're on the right track and keep you going, because you will face adversity. So Marian is my cheerleader.
No, Marian's been going ham in the comments. We love her. So we have a couple of
her net. She's right.
No, I also think that in that situation, you have to really love what you do. And it starts there by choosing a career that's meant for you. Because typically, if that's the case, you're going to be doing it 24/7 because you love it so much. And so, yes, you're working so hard, you're putting in those extra hours, you are getting ahead, but it's just from the heart.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I think, there's a lot of women in here just like basically saying amen. But no, I really appreciate that. And I think that there are a lot of women that resonate with both sides of it. And I think Blake is, connecting the dots between what Leah and I have said. For me, it's about being in alignment, and it's always about, being paired with the right people and not being sad when you hit that failure, that door closes. But if it's something that you're really passionate about and it's going to be an uphill battle, if it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of change, you got to really love it. For me, I played basketball all the way into my first year of college, and then I ended up letting it go because I realized it just wasn't what I was in love with. I did it so I could get a scholarship, and that wasn't the right reason to be playing basketball for me. And so I ended up letting that go. But in the other side of it, I ended up traveling to 2 different countries while I was in college. I was part of student government. I was in a sorority. So I'm more than made up for, what I let go. And I think that it's always important to just know that if you do have to let go of something, it's for the right reasons, or I guess you're letting go of it because you were doing it for the wrong reasons. And if it is something that you're facing rejection, but you love it, that you just keep pushing for it, because that's how you're going to see real promise and fruit of your labor, for lack of a better term. We have a really great question on here, and it says, are there any women networking organizations that we can be a part of?
Oh, gosh. Most of the organizations that I'm a part of are nonprofit. And so I'm trying to think of any professional organization right now that I'm a part of, and I can't think of one.
So I know a good friend of mine, she's rebooting her Femme Fatale organization. So right now it's just social media, but she was doing events, but COVID. She is actually about to start putting out ebooks and different things like that, just to inspire and help women have the confidence to basically take the leap from not trusting themselves, not believing in themselves, to having the confidence to start that new job, or having the confidence to start that company. So she's working on that.
Is that the Susie Batiste?
No, so that's another one.
Yeah.
So that's Anna Berenger with Femme Fatale, and then Susie Batiste is a mentor of mine, absolutely phenomenal woman. She started a class called the Live OS, and I'm very blessed that last year this time I was able to be in I guess what you would call the beta. We would all go over to her house and we would like sit down and Susie would like basically prophesy to us. No, but we would just like talk through a bunch of like mental blockers and things like that. And I think it's actually, I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot as the moderator, but the one thing I want to say about the whole feminine thing, I'm not a believer in victim mentality. I'm a believer that if there are certain things that are fears or guilt or shame in your life, that's the first thing that you need to attack before you can really step into your full power. So if there are things that you're scared of, do the thing that you're scared of. I promise you, once you do it at least 10 times, you won't be scared of it anymore. Mm-hmm. So Leah, do you have any suggestions for female organizations that people could be a part of?
I mean, shameless plug, I love We Dallas. So if you're following all of the Dallas Entrepreneur Center initiatives, all of the We Dallas updates are great. Sometimes following a lot of the women-owned co-working spaces in their newsletters will give you an opportunity to network. So the Riveter, the Slate, Her HQ, those guys, they put on events, and that's a great opportunity to meet other women entrepreneurs. But for myself, especially during the pandemic, I would say Facebook groups has been the most important networking platform for me. And specifically, I network within PR and marketing groups, and I'm very active. So just over the course of the pandemic, I'm in a group called Women in PR, and I've now added so many what I consider to be colleagues into my social circle just by being very active in those industry groups, but it's specifically for women. We talk about our struggles in PR, or we give each other media lists, we attend each other's events. And so you just got to find what works for you. But I think digitally right now, maybe finding a Facebook private group or something like that would probably be your best bet.
Most definitely. I messed up the spelling of that one. I'm sorry, trying to reply back. Somebody asked for the list. Amanda, my good friend Amanda's on here, Amanda Viola. There's also Girls in Tech. There's actually been a lot that have been listed in the side comments that have been really good. So Girls in Tech, Hello Alice is a great resource. They're more of a national kind of spread company, but I actually got to meet the founders of that, Alice, or not the founder, the CEO of that at South by Southwest 2 years ago. She's really nice. Allison Gore. We also have DFW, ATW, DFW Alliance of Women in Technology. I've actually not heard of that one. I'll have to check it out. And then we also have the local chapter of the National Association of Women Business Owners. Awesome. And then one more, we have She Dares Collective. They started meeting virtually and doing hybrid events. They're looking for more badass boss ladies to grow with. Beautiful. We love that. Great pitch. With that being said, I want to have some opportunity for y'all to kind of plug yourselves, talk about the things that you're currently working on, projects-wise. Leah, I've just been seeing you go ham this summer. Like, you just had a hand in everything that I can possibly think of. So why don't we start with you? Let me know what you're currently, focused on, what projects you're doing, and how people can get involved.
Well, currently my life has been taken over by Dallas Startup Week. So stay tuned.
That's fair. I feel that.
Tomorrow for the State of Entrepreneurship. So hopefully you guys will be attending that. Currently wrapping up right now. But from a business perspective, we're just doing a lot of PR and marketing for businesses right now. During the pandemic, I would say business grew by like 4 times the amount before the pandemic. But a lot of it is creating virtual resources. So we kind of low-key launched Think3 Media EDU, and I've just been doing a lot of teaching and courses for people to kind of take those themselves, especially if they can't. My heart is just for the startup and the small business owner. And I know sometimes marketing and PR and paid advertising is not in the budget. So what I've done is made it my mission to create smaller packages that get you the same result. You just got to learn it yourself. We don't do it for you. And so I've spent most of my time since March creating those courses for people to take. And one was wildly successful, PR Yourself, so much so that I contacted a publishing company and we're now turning it into a book. So wow. I'm working on a book right now. I co-authored one during the pandemic, and now I'm working on another one during the pandemic, and also a white research paper that I'm going to keep under the radar for right now, but it's going to do some amazing thing once we get the marketing results out. But that's pretty much all I can handle on my plate right now without going completely.
That's it. Not a lot.
More meditating and wellness and like baths with salts and like bath bombs since March than I have in my entire life. So that's where I'm at.
You gotta ground yourself, let it all go.
So yes.
Blake, what are some things that y'all are working on in Modern Luxury? Maybe some personal projects?
Yeah. So personally and professionally, a lot's going on with me. But I'd say for the October issue, Modern Men, it's something that we've done every year, and we have a lot of participation this year. So we close the end of next week for that, if anybody wants to be a modern man or knows of one. And then for the November issue, it's Dynamic Women, which is so funny because that's how you and I met.
Yes.
Susie Batista's house last year. This is probably my favorite part of the magazine or a feature in the magazine. Our Dynamic Women, they're typically business owners, entrepreneurs. We love to feature them, and we will have a speaker event virtually where Susie is actually moderating.
Love.
I know. But we have so many fabulous people that will be part of that. Dr. Jessica Shepard is somebody who's going off on her own and starting a new business that's women focused.
Nice.
And then in the December issue, it's actually going to be a combination of December, January. It will be power players. So that will be, again, another opportunity for people to highlight what they're doing in this crazy time, right?
Yes.
So that's on my immediate front professionally. And in terms of personally, I'm going through a divorce. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud like this, but it is. It's very trying to kind of go through this during this time.
Yeah.
But I'd love to get that wrapped up by the end of the year.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
So-
I think that, with all the trauma that's going on, and just, I'm sure that's all women on here. I'm sure that there are women that connect and feel with you. So if you want to send Blake some love, you can just send her a heart on Instagram telling her you love her, because Lord knows 2020 was enough in itself. We don't need any more drama.
Well, and I'm thinking about this whole discussion and how it's like, I, don't need a man to,
Shoot, go off.
So if anything, I'm on my own and leaning into my career more so than I even believe that I would be able to.
Yeah.
But it's a good a moment to make it happen, right? So thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think if there's one thing we can say about 2020, it's woken a lot of people up and it's brought a lot of new beginnings. And so this is just a new beginning.
Mhm.
And trust me, actually, it's been weird. This year, I haven't lost a man because I ain't got no man, but that's fine. Don't need one. But I actually have been shedding a lot of old relationships. And for me, that's personally really, really tough. And because I'm just like, my personality is loyal like a dog. So like, I will cling to people and be like, why are you upset with me? So I get it. And I think that, everybody can understand just going through it in 2020. So ladies, if you have any final questions, this would be the time. We have about 5 minutes left. I'm going to wrap it up with just one more question. So my question for you is this. As you've been going through your career, what do you think the tipping point for you in success was? What was it that you were like, this is the moment that I feel like I've stepped into my full power? Or has that even happened for you yet?
I think it's asking for a promotion or asking for a raise. And I'll go back and say I have loved what I've done my whole life, basically, which is in publishing. But I've loved it so much that I was too busy to even ask for what I probably deserved. So the moment that I did that, lots of doors opened for me. So
amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Asking for what you want.
Yeah.
Leah?
I agree with Blake. The tipping point for me was when I lost the joy for what I was doing. And it was because I was not charging enough, and the value was there for what I was providing, but I was exhausting myself because I was having to work so hard to bring so much in. And the joy for what I was doing was not there anymore. And once I realized that at the crux of it was the fact that I wasn't charging enough. And then at the crux of that, was that I had a money mindset issue.
Mm.
Once I've done a lot of work on myself, and I'm in Susie's Alive group as well.
Yeah.
Susie's group, unwinding my family issues, like how my family viewed money, money mindset issues, really working with that. I took courses, I worked with experts to come to the psychological standpoint of you are enough and you are worth this. So now I fearlessly go in and like, this is what it costs. And I'm very confident in what we do and how we do it. And if you can't pay it, I don't know what to tell you. But and so I think as women, we just have to go in there and say what it is and not blink. And once I got to that point, things changed for me. And I also got very comfortable in my ideas and moving forward and being comfortable. Sorry about my dog in the back. Being comfortable with just maybe not having all the answers or the resources and just pressing play. So during the pandemic, I had a lot of ideas where I had to move and I had to move quickly. And that perfectionism thing, it wasn't perfect, but it worked. And again, that tipped everything for me and myself as well. And so now it's game on.
Yeah. And I want to thank you guys too, as we continue to wrap up here, but you ladies have been so vulnerable and authentic with our audience today. And even I'm like kind of feeling a little emotional, just like hearing what you guys are saying, because honestly, it's so true, you know. And actually, I'm going to have to shout out Leah here really quick, shameless plug. Her course is on the top of my list of things that I want to invest in PR-wise. Like I messaged her, I was like, I'm going to figure out how to do it. Just one of those things where you have to like put back and you have to know what's going to help you reach that next level. And so I'm just really honored to have basically just female mentors. I get all kind of like this when I say that because I'm like, thank you. But I'm just blessed to be around women that are so wise, that are able to speak into my life and continuously help me grow and elevate just by being who they are. And I think everybody on this chat can say that as well. I know there was 2 questions or so, but we are out of time. So if you want to send those questions into these ladies, these are what their social channels and where you can reach them are at. Blake?
At Blake Steph, STEPH.
Beautiful. Leah?
I'm sorry, I'm all in the comments giving them books.
I know.
I'm like, they came right at the end. I was like, you can't do that.
So what was the question? I'm sorry.
My question, it was just closing. So where can the people reach you and ask you these questions?
Oh, okay. Leah at think3media.com, spell 3 all the way out. Or for those that sometimes have a problem with that, you can just go to leahfrazier.com or send me a DM on Instagram and I'll get back to you.
Beautiful. My name is Creator Jules on all my platforms at How to Be Social. But with that being said, thank you everybody so much for participating today. We had a lot of really great commentary throughout the comments section. Arts and Entertainment does have another session starting soon. So please, please, please tune in for that. And we will see you soon. Stay social, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.